Welcome to No Rules Review with your host, Ethan Millay.
Hey everybody, Ethan Millay here. Today I'm going to be talking about Ave Caesar by Wolfgang Riedesser, either way. Ave Caesar is a racing game for 2 to 6 players in which you are racing chariots around a hippodrome. Old Roman style chariot racing. Think of Ben-Hur, stuff like that. Ave Caesar is played in rounds, and each round, when it's your turn, you get to play a card from your hand. You have a hand of 3 cards. It'll be a number 1 through 6, and that's just how many spaces you move forward. Now, complicating just moving around, because that would seem to be not much of a game. The track is narrow to begin with. It's usually only about 2 chariots wide, and there are choke points in the track where it's only 1 space. So a single chariot can hold up all the chariots behind them. You are doing 3 laps of the race, and every round it goes in player order, not running order, like a game like Formula D. So the person who is in front of you, if they are in front of you in turn order, and they don't move much, you're going to be restricted by what you can do. Now, also complicating, putting a wrinkle further in the plan to just racing around like that. At one point, either between the first and the second lap, or between the second and the third lap, you have to basically make a pit stop. You pull down Imperial Alley, and everybody has a coin. You have to put the coin down, and you have to yell Ave Caesar. And if you do not do this, you cannot win the race. What this does is it slows you down, because the front stretch of the track, or the 2 tracks come together, the front stretch of it is not a lot of spaces. You can move through it very quickly. But this Imperial Alley slows you down quite considerably. There's also a complicated matter of getting to it. When we talked about chariots blocking each other, you might go between that first and second lap, and there's just a backup trying to get in there. And so you go whipping by, and you're ahead of everybody else, and then on your second time through, you know you have to pull in. And I've had games where, because of unfortunate timing and the placement of chariots, somebody just physically cannot pull in. You have to play a card from your hand, if you can. There have been races where chariots are forced to go by Imperial Alley, and they're running the rest of the race knowing no matter what, they're going to lose, because they never made it into the Imperial lane to drop off that coin. So what you get with Ave Caesar is a very fun, very quick playing racing game. Everybody has the same deck of cards, but like I said, you have 3 in your hand, you play 1, you draw 1. So it can seem at first, especially with new players, they can feel like maybe it's unfair. Somebody's getting a lot of high numbered cards, they're getting a lot of low numbered cards. But since everybody has the same deck, it tends to balance out, and you tend to get fairly close finishes to the races. Now, there is a variant, talking about that getting blocked by somebody. There's a variant where if you play a 1 card, you can swap places with the chariot in front of you. This, I'll play with it sometimes, because what it does is it stops somebody from just sort of being a bit of a loser and just blocking up everybody for the fun of it. But it does mean that people tend to run out of cards when you play with this variant, and if you run out of cards, you basically crash and you don't finish the race. So with the variant, you can get some runaway leaders, and you can get a lot of people not finishing the race. Without the variant, if everybody plays sort of in the spirit of the competition, blocking only when it's necessary, you can get a lot of quick finishes. If you get somebody who's going to block just because they think it's fun to block, the game can lead to 1 or 2 people being, almost a full lap ahead of everybody else, and everybody else, being stuck behind this person who's just enjoying causing chaos. Component-wise, it's a nice-looking game. I mean, simple plastic chariots, simple plastic coins. The cards have some nice art on it. If I had one criticism of the game, and it's not components this time, if I had a criticism, though, it could be a component thing, because people will sometimes lose track of what lap they're on. Now, when I am running a game, I try to keep track of everybody, but you get the issue, just like any kind of a race, in real life, when people pit, the running order can change, and so it might appear that somebody who had already gone to the pit, who had already gone to the Imperial lane, and somebody who hadn't, they might be neck and neck, and sometimes people will forget which lap they're on. I wish there was something for each one of the players, and I mean, this is something you can just mock up with a piece of paper and some markers, but to keep track, first lap done, second lap done, third lap done, because we've had games where people say, am I completing my second lap or my third lap? And, I mean, players should be able to keep track of that, but when they don't, it can sometimes get confusing. So unless you've been following along what they've been doing, it can get obviously confusing about where the running order is. This game works well, like I said, from 2 to 6 players. If you are playing with less than the maximum, you can either, well, if it's an odd number, like if you're playing with 5 people, you can basically have a dummy computer who just flips a card from the top of the deck and goes that many spaces. If you're playing with 3 people, you can give everybody 2 chariots and sort of have it be a team race. And you give them points based on their finishing order, and you'd say, well, the highest cumulative finishing order points is the overall winner. I've had some issues with that 3-player game where somebody sort of uses both their chariots just via running blocks, since the racetrack rarely opens up to more than 2 wide. But again, if people play in the spirit of competition, it's usually okay. What else do I want to say? Oh, it's nice. There is, in the rules, because I said the cards go from 1 to 6, those 6 cards can only be played if you're not in first place. So somebody might have a handful of 1s, and it stinks when that happens in the game. You know, I move 1 spot, draw a card, oh, it's a 2, I move 2. But the person in first, if they stay in first, their hand will eventually start filling up with 6 cards, and they can't play them if they're in first place. So eventually, they're forced to just discard and stall on the track until somebody passes them, then they can go rocketing ahead again. So that is nice. And like I said, the fact that everybody has identical decks, so they will have the same cards come out eventually. You know, everybody will move the same number of spaces, barring any getting jammed up behind people. It is nice. It can be frustrating, so if you are stuck behind somebody, you can't play a card bigger than the number of spaces forward you can move, so sometimes you are forced to just sit and wait, but that tends to be at the beginning, and that's probably why they worked in that dropping off the coins. What it does is it tends to split the field, maybe not necessarily in half, but it splits them up, so then it's less of a crowded race. But overall, obviously, this is a great game. It is out of print. I don't know if there are plans to bring it back in print. You can find copies for fairly reasonable prices. This, I think, is my favorite racing game, unless I'm forgetting something. I'm never getting rid of it. I think it's great. It plays a large crowd, and it plays fast, and it's fun, and that is Ave Caesar. If you like what you saw today, share, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye now.
This has been another No Rules review by Ethan Millay. If you enjoyed this video, consider sharing, commenting, liking, and most importantly, subscribing. For this and other great games, join us over on BoardGameGeek.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.